Hey, what's up, guys? I am back again with another top 10 tapes of the year list. This is something I did last year that was pretty fun to do, so I thought I would do it again. And kind of looking back and trying to pick these tapes out, I realized I posted over 200 tapes this year, which is kind of crazy. So narrowing it down to 10 has been really, really difficult. So I decided I am going to do those 10, but I'm going to throw in a few honorable mentions at the end that I think are worth revisiting. And as far as criteria goes, these are just really my personal favorite tapes that I posted in 2025. It's not about views or comments or anything like that. Just the tapes that I found myself going back to, listening to the most. And I will put together a playlist for these, and I'll pin a comment. That should make it easy for you guys to revisit these if you'd like. I want to give a shout out to everybody who donated tapes in 2025. Darren, Double D, Cocaine, Trance, Greg, Jackie, Josh, Marcus, Michael, Nate, PFG, Robert, Ross, Sean M and Sean W, Stephen B, and Stephen K, Terrence Toy, Trevor, and Veronica. These tapes are getting harder to find every year, so I seriously appreciate you all for sending what you had. Thanks. I also want to give a shout out to the Saturday Listening Party crew. If you haven't joined a listening party, we typically do them a few times a month at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. We'll listen to a tape or two. You can just watch the post I make on the channel if you'd like to join those. I usually let people know when they're going on. So yeah, just a shout out to One Piece, Alexi, Analog, Berkey, Josh, Jamie, Jay Casellas, Johnny, Carl, Lidl, Leonard, Luna Daisy, Mr. Chatterboodam, Oham, Rents, Success in San Diego, Cosmic Seeds, Tori, UFO Battleship, and Verity. And then a special shout out to the Train Spotters, so Rents and Josh, Alexi, and Leonard. These guys spend a ridiculous amount of time compiling track lists for a lot of the videos that I post, and I know everyone really appreciates that, and so thank you guys so much for doing that. Okay, one last bit of housekeeping and then we'll get into the list. There is a Discord for the YouTube channel that's starting to become pretty active. I would say that if you are a hardcore head, you should probably make your way in there. There's a lot of really good discussion, a ton of talented people in there that are sharing the music they produce. I've been pretty blown away by what's being shared in there. The other thing is, if you do have tapes that you either want to sell, you want to donate, or you just want to lend out and get ripped, just hit me up at the email address on the screen and we can work something out. We're going to kick things off with a tape that a lot of people have been asking about back since I started the channel, in fact, and I finally managed to get it earlier this year. So it's from a San Diego DJ who's better known for his hardcore sets and hardcore tapes, and I think he even produced some hardcore for Bastard Loud way back in the day. But he did a handful of these really dreamy, atmospheric jungle tapes that were just awesome. Next up is a mix from a very early name in the LA Underground. The A side of this one is like early acid techno, and the flip is mostly ambient, which I love, and it kind of morphs into some early techno at the end. Fun fact, this DJ also threw a legendary party at Knott's Berry Farm New Year's Eve 93, so like 33 years ago to the day. One of the cool side effects of collecting and running this channel is discovering DJs I'd never heard before. So shout out to Nate for donating this next tape and turning me on to this DJ. This mix is essentially an extremely carefully crafted hard acid mix. It seemed to be the case in the 90s, at least in my opinion, that a lot of producers were throwing a 303 on top of a 909 and bam, that's your hard acid. There were patches of producers who seemed to care about atmosphere and melody, and that's essentially what you have here. A DJ who was extremely intentional with their track selection. Next up is a really good mix of early funk, soul, and hip-hop from a member of the legendary X-Men turntablist crew. I'll say this DJ is always a blast to watch, so if you ever get a chance to see him, you should absolutely go. And the other thing I'll say is that it's really easy to overdo turntablism, and finding that sort of sweet spot between really good track selection, tasteful scratching, and maybe some tricks or some juggling thrown in is really, really difficult. And this tape is just a great example of the balance that he just naturally seems to have. This next one is my favorite progressive trance tape I posted all year. It's from a San Diego DJ, and to me it sounds like it's somewhere around 95 to 97, which for me was the absolute heyday of progressive / tech trance. It's about as smooth as a 90-minute mix as you can get. Also, Rents took a stab at putting together a track list for this one, but we're still missing like 10 tracks. So if anyone feels like doing any digging, we could definitely use the help. This next one is from 1995 off Theo's Biohazard label. And I've got to be honest, I see a lot of collections, I trade with a lot of people, I'm very familiar with this DJ. I like to think I'm fairly well versed in LA DJs, but I had no idea this tape existed. I never heard of it. As far as I know, it's not online anywhere else. So I lucked out and found this one, and super glad I did, because it is a sick tape. This is like 90 minutes of seamlessly mixed sort of electro, acid, techno. Yeah, highly recommend checking it out. This next one is from 1993. It's a 3-hour double tape of old school techno and breaks from, someone who was there from day one, a super OG of the LA rave scene. I don't think I've ever heard a bad transition from him on any of his tapes. I have like a dozen or more of his tapes. Just a seriously solid and really fun DJ to listen to. Alright guys, down to the final three here. This next one is from, I'll just say, a legendary Canadian hardcore DJ, and you probably already know who I'm talking about. This is one of my all-time favorite tapes. It means a lot to me. It has one of my favorite mixes at the beginning of it. It's Didgeridoo into Happiness is Slavery by Nine Inch Nails, played on 45. I remember hearing that for the first time, and it just like blew my mind. It's like, oh, techno DJs are allowed to mix things that are not in the techno bins at record shops. That's awesome. I also learned about a ton of really good artists from this tape, like the harder hardcore stuff, like Zect, Dr. Fernando, Spiral Tribe, those sort of artists. And I actually had a chance to meet up with this DJ earlier this year and spend an afternoon with her. And without question, one of the kindest people that I've met in the scene. She knows a startling amount about music, specifically hardcore and industrial, and has some of the best stories I've heard about people who are my heroes, like Tron and Delta 9 and these folks. Anyways, I'm fanboying out over here, so enough of that. Back to the tape. Highly recommend it. All right, down to the final two. This has been more difficult than it was last year, that's for sure. I have swapped out these from number one and number two, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 times in my editor, actually. That's how on the fence I have been about these. But I'll say this about this tape. So ultimately where I landed, this number 2 spot went to, iconic LA DJ. Everybody knows him, everybody loves him, every mix he does is amazing. He's been really good to this channel and has provided some unbelievably rare tapes to this channel. This was his very first mixtape. And how it went is he recorded these out of his house, and he would label them by hand, and he would always put something kind of wacky on the other side. My copy has the word good luck, but upside down. You could probably figure out what that's about. And he would hand them out at raves and just try to get booked. And it worked. I would say it worked. But the mix has, pretty much everything you would expect from an early set of his. Clean mixing, more on the hard side of techno, wacky samples, just like an excellent mix. Super iconic, old school LA warehouse rave type stuff. If you haven't heard this mix, you owe it to yourself to go and listen to this one for sure. Alright, so like I said, narrowing this down to only 10 tapes was nearly impossible. So I compromised. I threw a few honorable mentions out there. These are all absolutely worth your time to check out. When you wanna come. So like I said, this was a tough decision. It really could have gone either way, but I ultimately went with this tape because it is without a doubt my most listened to tape throughout the year. Specifically the first side of tape 1. I probably have listened to this like 50 times, no exaggeration. This also happened to be the tape I played at the very first listening party of 2025, funny enough. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this countdown. Thank you again sincerely for your support this past year. This channel would be nothing without the donations, the engagement, so I really appreciate it. Have a safe new year, everybody, and I will see you in 2026.